So when my moment of inspiration struck last fall, I knew this wasn't just a product. It was a legacy. The words hung in the air-conditioned sterility of the conference room. On the projector screen, my code, my architecture, glowed behind Xavier's silhouette. The investors from Sterling Ventures nodded, captivated. His face, usually a mask of easy charm, was tight with faux sincerity. The stark white light of the presentation erased all the color from his skin, leaving a porcelain effigy of the man I thought I knew. I felt nothing, just a deep, glacial calm. "That's a very compelling story, Xavier," I said, my voice perfectly even. We met at a tech incubator, two sides of the same coin. I was the architect, the one who could build entire worlds from lines of code in the dead of night. He was the evangelist, the one who could sell those worlds to people who didn't even know they needed them. Our partnership was born over stale coffee and a shared, desperate ambition. I remember the night our prototype, Helios, finally compiled without a single error. It was 3 a.m. We celebrated with greasy pepperoni pizza on the floor of our tiny, rented office space, and for a moment it felt like we were invincible. The first red flag was a footnote, easily dismissed. He forgot to list me as co-inventor on an early patent filing. A simple clerical error, he'd said with that disarming smile. "I'm so sorry, man, my head has been all over the place." I believed him. It was easier to believe him. The first year was a blur of momentum. We secured our seed funding, signing the documents in a mahogany-paneled room at a downtown law firm that smelled of old money and leather. To celebrate, Xavier took us to Prime Cut, a steakhouse where the wine list had its own table of contents. He ordered a bottle of champagne that cost more than my first car. When the bill came, he slid it to my side of the table with a wink. "You handle this one, tech genius. I'm all about the big picture." I paid, rationalizing it as an investment in our shared future. He was the face, I was the engine. It seemed like a fair division of labor. He handled the clients, the finances, the networking. I lived in the architecture of Helios, refining it, scaling it, making it bulletproof. The cracks started as hairline fractures. When I'd ask for updates on our burn rate, he'd wave a hand dismissively. "Don't get bogged down in the numbers, that's my job. You just keep being brilliant." The imbalance grew. I was putting in 100-hour weeks, sleeping on a cot in the server room. He was flying to conferences, his Instagram a curated feed of airport lounges and rooftop bars. He was building the brand, he said. He was building our brand. The discovery was an accident. A single, automated email from our business bank on a Tuesday morning. A notification of a payment of $8,500 made to a company I'd never heard of, Vivid Design LLC. It was flagged as a marketing expense. I searched our records. No contracts, no invoices, just a ghost payment. That single email was a loose thread. I pulled. The whole tapestry of our partnership began to unravel. I hired a forensic accountant, a woman named Yara who spoke in clipped, precise sentences and had eyes that missed nothing. For 6 weeks we worked in secret. After Xavier left for the day, I would log into QuickBooks, download transaction logs, and send them to her encrypted server. She cross-referenced everything: state business filings, shell company databases, social media check-ins. The scale of the betrayal widened with every file she sent back. It wasn't one payment. It was 42. He was siphoning our operating capital into a holding company he owned entirely. He was using my work and our investors' money to build his own ark, preparing to sail away and leave me to drown in the flood. The breaking point was that Series A pitch to Sterling Ventures. I knew he was planning to sideline me, but I didn't realize he intended to erase me completely. We were all there, me, Xavier, and 2 senior partners from the venture capital firm, including a man named Mr. Vance. After Xavier delivered his grand vision, my vision, Mr. Vance asked a simple question about the genesis of the core concept. Xavier didn't even hesitate. He looked right at me, a flicker of something almost like pity in his eyes before turning back to the investors. "Honestly, some people are great at the technical stuff, but they just don't have the vision to carry it across the finish line. I had to make the hard choice to lead this myself for the good of the company." In that moment the world went silent. It wasn't anger that filled me. It was a profound, chilling clarity. The emotional fog I'd been living in for months vanished. I saw the path forward, and I noticed a tiny detail, something insignificant that would later become a cornerstone. In his pitch, he'd used a pretentious phrase, architecting the future. I remembered him laughing about that exact line 6 months earlier, mocking a rival CEO for using it. He wasn't just a thief. He was a plagiarist in every aspect of his life. My team was small but formidable. Yara, my accountant, and Mr. Zimmerman, a lawyer whose calm demeanor masked a tactical ruthlessness. The work took 3 months and cost me nearly $20,000 from my personal savings. We moved with surgical precision. One afternoon, Xavier walked into the office unexpectedly while I had an email from Yara open on my screen. I minimized the window a split second before he saw it, my heart hammering against my ribs. He just grinned, oblivious. Burning the midnight oil again, huh? That's why you're the best. The evidence file grew thick. We had the 42 fraudulent wire transfers from our company account to Vivid Design, LLC, totaling exactly $120,750. Had the state incorporation documents for Vivid Design, listing Xavier as the sole proprietor. We had the original server logs with immutable timestamps proving I had created every critical component of Helios months before he even claimed to have his moment of inspiration. We had his own emails, praising my brilliant original concept. And then, Yara found the ironic masterstroke. The registered address for his shell company wasn't an office, it was a high-end watch boutique. He cross-referenced the dates and found a payment from Vivid Design to that same store for a Patek Philippe watch, the same one gleaming on his wrist during the investor pitch. The decoy was simple. I used our 2 other board members to call an emergency meeting to discuss the disappointing feedback from Sterling Ventures. Xavier walked in, ready to perform a corporate post-mortem, never suspecting he was the corpse. We sat across from each other at the long, polished conference table. The other 2 board members were on the large screen, their faces impassive pixels. Xavier, thank you for joining, I began. We need to discuss some financial discrepancies. He launched into a practice speech about market headwinds and cautious investor sentiment. I let him talk for a full minute before I slid a single piece of paper across the table. It was the incorporation filing for Vivid Design, LLC. His bravado evaporated. A flicker of confusion crossed his face, quickly replaced by a dawning panicked horror. I didn't raise my voice. I simply laid out the first wave of evidence. Yara joined the video call, her voice a clinical counterpoint to my comm, and walked the board through the 42 transfers, the shell company, the stolen $120,750. Xavier started to sputter, a litany of denials and accusations. It's a misunderstanding, a clerical error. Then came the killer proof. I hit play on a small audio file. It was a 30-second clip from a Zoom call I'd recorded a month prior, perfectly legal in my state. Voice filled the silent room. It's a bit of a shell game, but as long as the investors see growth, they don't look too closely at the plumbing. The blood drained from his face. He stared at me, his mask of charm finally shattered, revealing the hollow man beneath. This is a hostile takeover. You've been plotting this. You can't prove any of it. I don't have to, I replied, my voice quiet but absolute. The evidence proves itself. The fallout was swift and silent. The board voted unanimously to remove him. The security guard I'd hired escorted him from the building, a single cardboard box in his arms. My phone lit up for the next 24 hours with calls and texts from mutual friends and confused investors. I ignored them all. To avoid felony fraud charges, Xavier signed over his entire equity stake to me and agreed to a legally binding repayment plan for every last cent he had stolen. The company was mine. A year later, I saw him. He was coming out of a downtown office building, working a junior sales role for a second-rate marketing firm. His suit was cheap and didn't fit his shoulders properly. The expensive watch was gone. He looked smaller, diminished, just another face in the lunchtime crowd. I rebranded Helios, secured a new round of funding on my own terms, and built a team based on talent and trust. My new apartment overlooks the city, and most nights it's quiet. The calm I felt in that conference room never really left. It's not the smug satisfaction of victory, it's the quiet peace of a foundation rebuilt on solid ground. In his big pitch, Xavier had talked about his legacy. He was right, it is a legacy. It just happens to be mine.